there's a lot of questions I get about my right hand technique, and people start to panic that they aren't playing with 3 fingers, or they aren't playing with 4. Or that there's no real thing you must do as a player. You play with 1 finger, or 2, or your thumb, or a pick, or you slap, or you use a violin bow, or an electric drill, or whatever it is you play with. As long as you're getting the notes you need to get, and you're happy with what you're doing, and the audience seems to be getting it, you're okay. But having said that, I'll explain a little bit about the 3-finger technique, which I've explained in many places, in interviews and in magazines and everything like that. But it's hard for everybody to catch all that, so I'll reiterate it here for those who haven't heard. Basically, what I'm doing with 3 fingers, I'm playing 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, with 3. So that's already odd, because if I was with 4 fingers, it would make sense. But with 3, doing 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 lands on a different finger each time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'm always traveling in the same direction. There's a reason for that too. If you go back and forth, this middle finger's got to work twice as hard, so you're limited by that. Sometimes I'll do it just as an exercise, go back and forth just to make sure I limber myself up to the possibility of doing that if I need to. But the basis of the 3-finger technique is just to be able to play 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4. Make it sound like it's 1 finger doing it, so you don't get differentiation between the notes. You want them to all sound alike. Now, if you listen close, of course, you can hear a little bit of difference, but that's kind of the beauty of individuality of everybody who's playing. There's a little bit of thing in there that's going to be something you can always hear. But basically, that's what I'm trying to get. Slowly, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, there's a couple other things happening there that you may not have observed, which are important. First thing is, my thumb is always on a spot. And it's kind of the thing from which everything else is based. So my thumb is always beat up pretty bad, because it's always holding the spot down while these fingers do that thing. And that's a stable 1 spot. I always know where that is. And from there, I reach out and get everything else. Now, your thumb is what your fingers are opposed or push against. So to get real strength, you got to have your thumb on there. Try to do it without the thumb, with your hand floating, it's hard to get any strength. When your thumb is locked in there, it's easy to get it. So that applies with the 3-finger technique too. We'll do it on the E string and make it a little bit more basic. My thumb is locked here. Now, I do a couple things on my basses to give my thumb spots to go. I trim this part of the pickup off. I got a spot in here where it goes. It goes here, it goes here. There's all different places for it. You'll notice with the stand-up player, his thumb is usually on the side of that board. I use a stand-up bass player because that's kind of what this all came from. It's an electric bass now, but it started out as a precision version of the stand-up bass. But there's always a spot for your thumb as a fulcrum, I guess it would be. In physics, I don't know. So I always have that. So I'm going to go across the strings with those 3 fingers. My thumb will always be, sometimes it'll move, even to get up here, but I always have a spot where the thumb can go and lock in and have a place for it to fit. Now, as an individual player, you'll find different ways to do it and different ways to configure your hands and make it work, and it'll be unique to you. But here's what I do, just so you can use that as a starting point. So now let's get back to the 3-finger actual plucking. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. Now that's kind of, I know it may seem slow to me because I had coffee here this morning, but I'll try and do it slow for you. So again, real simple. Just hold this note. You could do it even an open string if you want, but when you hold a note, you got a little more control of things. Hold that note, 5th fret on the E string, which would be an A note, and just a couple other fine points. How long that note lasts, because when the next finger comes to pluck the second note, it stops the note for a second quickly. So that's how long that note lasts. Make it last longer. They're ringing, or get them really tight. Here, the note is much shorter now, and way shorter now. So there's a little finesse thing that goes down with your fingers, is how much time it takes this next finger to come stop it and pluck it. Because in order to pluck it, it has to stop it by nature. That's how long those notes are. Tighten them up. Make them longer. And it's a fine point you probably don't need to know, but I just didn't want to let it go by without commenting on it. But basically, you just want to play 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, that's the basis of it. Now, when you start to actually play lines and melodies with it, you have to make some compensation sometimes. You can't always play in the right direction. I try to always play in the direction where you're going from ring, middle, index, ring, middle, index, ring, middle, index. So if I go, for example, I'm going to change one note. I'm going to make it a G major. That's D major. So it's going to go. Just G major. So now a whole new set of things comes in. You do a simple little lick like that as a 3-finger technique thing. I'll do it really slow. Now, what's happening is, as the finger gets done, it can slide to the next string to play that one. So you'll see that sliding from string to string changes the sequence that you're playing. See, this one's there. See, when you play a note, this finger lands on the next string. So as long as it's there, allow that to pluck the next note. So we go. That's how that starts. Secret to it is that when that finger slips off one string and gets to the next, to start the pluck of the next one. So I'll do it really slow here. Concentrate on the right hand. Seems simple enough, but coordinating all those things together to make it actually sound like music. I'm blowing at the end. I'm not playing it correctly. I didn't think this look out first, but you get the idea. So again, super slow. Watch the fingers slide off, get to the next string, and do the note they have to do. Really slow. Forgot. Now, eventually you can. Go. those crazy wrong notes that you hear you playing there. Eventually, you can build up to the point where you can do any of that stuff. It's well within anyone's grasp to play it, as long as they just get that basic of the other strings, moving it back and forth off. So that's just a kind of a little overview, and I could spend hours on this, explaining all the little things to watch out for. But again, you got to make it your own. And if you don't play with 3 fingers, I know some great bass players that play with 2, and they're amazing, and they blow my mind. Or guys that play with a pick, perfectly okay. Or slap guys, perfectly all right. This just is here's an idea. Here's another a little thing for your bag of tricks or for your vocabulary of things you do on bass. So try to work with that. Try to work with the little fine points I showed you there, and see what becomes of it. Like I said, it may become something supremely valuable to you that you base a lot of things on and develop a whole bunch of new things, or maybe something that you just pass by, let it do its thing, and drop it and move on to something else. Your choice. But at least it'll give you the experience of trying some different technique that you can eventually evolve into something of your own. There you have it.